Pastor Billy Brath, Lutheran Church Extension Fund Vice President of Ministry Support, here for another ministry moment to help your ministries move forward according to God's will. I visit congregations all over the country, and I've been handed a vast array of stuff as I walk into worship. From literally nothing to a 16-page, full-size, full-color bound guidebook. Well, let's explore your options for Sunday morning print communication. This video is the third in our series on communication, helping you create and execute a communication plan that overcomes common issues. Today, we will explore worship bulletins and other Sunday morning print media. Two reasons why this is so important to a congregation. First, what you hand someone will be with them for the worship service, either distracting them or guiding them. Second, everything speaks, meaning what you hand someone, its quality, its thoughtfulness, its purpose, sets the tone for the receiver. Well, you've experienced this when you get a sticky menu at a restaurant or you see a typo on a sign. Now, I can't tell you what to place in folks' hands when they attend your worship service. Instead, I'm going to lay out a few options and some tips. So first, hand worshipers nothing. In this scenario, folks come in and don't need to get anything, which frees ushers up to welcome people and interact, removing the transaction and replacing it with conversation. Now, this can confuse guests, so you will need to find alternative ways to communicate basic info to guests. Think info cards in the seat backs with bathroom locations, nursery info, and how to connect. Also, all worship info would need to be provided by screens, or by materials in the seat backs, or via hymn boards and hymnals. Finally, any non-worship information, like announcement info, mentioned in my last video, would need to be handed out at the end of worship, or as folks leave. But will they read what you hand them on their way out or when they get home? Second scenario, hand worshipers a worship guide only. This could be an outline and guide supplemented by screens or the hymnal, or a fully printed service. The best guidance here is to print out anything that folks should see before they say or experience it during the service. For instance, print out the prayer of the day instead of just relying on the screens. With this in hand, you are guiding worship experiences and can supplement the service itself with sermon or liturgical notes and prompts. As with the last scenario, info and announcements would need to be supplemented via seatbacks, screens, or post-worship distribution. Now, third scenario would be a bulletin with worship and announcement info. Versions of this seem to be the most common around the LCMS. Worship content can vary, like the example before, but the addition of announcement info can be a distraction and/or an aid. A distraction if it provides ample reading material for the sermon time, so keep it succinct. An aid if it's supplementing the verbal announcements as I presented in my last video. Extended announcements and info would again need to be available by other means, perhaps a newsletter handed out after worship. And the final scenario for today is handing everything out. In this scenario, a few tips. First, during the pre-service welcome, make mention of whatever was handed to them, inserts, announcements, forms, devotions, whatever. Then encourage your people to set it all aside for the service. Second, arrange things so it doesn't explode when people sit down. Papers everywhere aren't good for anyone, especially the ushers or sexton who cleans up after worship. Finally, and this applies to the others too, have a clear place for folks to return papers after worship. Mention what they should keep, but understand that after worship, people want to know where to recycle. And one last point, back to everything speaks. Create materials at the highest level possible. I'm not saying a full color magazine every week, but at least throw away the mimeograph. Get a team together and evaluate best layouts, fonts, colors, etc. And absolutely retain a copy editor. That final review by a professional editing eyes will be a blessing. Effective communication is critical to the life of a congregation. And as always, LCEF is here to help. We can assist you in designing and implementing a communication system. Contact your local LCEF District Vice President or email ministry.support@lcef.org.